Hey friends, it's Jackie Monastra, your children's pastor. Welcome back to another NiteLIGHT. Last week we looked at origin stories, and this week we're looking at action stories. Have you ever wanted to rewind time? Maybe have a do-over? I sure have. When I get a bad grade on a test, I wish I could have a do-over and study more. Or like when I sin, I wish I could rewind time and make a better choice. Our series, Rewritten, is all about the ways that God changes things when we choose to trust and follow Him. Today, we're going to take a look at a story of God's power in action. In this story, it isn't the person who wants a do-over or a rewind, it's God who changes things. So, have you guys ever seen something impossible? Maybe a magic trick? Sometimes the trick shots I see on Dude Perfect seem impossible. Today, I'm going to show you that I can totally do something totally impossible. Are you ready? Watch closely. Okay, so that wasn't totally impossible. It was actually science. But now we're really going to see God do something that was totally, completely impossible for any human to do. But God did it because He is the ultimate waymaker, miracle worker, and promise keeper. God can rewrite any story. You can find tonight's totally true story in the Bible in the book of Judges in chapters 6 and 7. But today we're just going to look at a part in chapter 6. This is the story of Gideon. Gideon was a judge who lived in Israel. Gideon's job was to help lead the people in following God and loving God. In the time that Gideon was a judge in Israel, these people called the Midianites were taking over Israel's home, meaning that the Israelites were scared and starving. Which brings us to Judges chapter 6. Let's read Judges 6, 7 through 16. Here we go, 7 through 16. When they cried out to the Lord because of Midian, the Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. He said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. I told you, I am the Lord your God. You must not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you now live, but you have not listened to me." Then the angel of the Lord came and sat beneath the great tree at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash of the clan of Abiezer. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of the winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." "Sir," Gideon replied, "if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt, but now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites?" Then the Lord turned to him and said, "Go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you." "But Lord," Gideon replied, "how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest in the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I am the least in my entire family." The Lord said to him, "I will be with you, and you will destroy the Midianites as if you were fighting against one man." God used Gideon to rescue the Israelite army, but he definitely did it in an unexpected way. You see, Gideon got close to the Midian army with a giant army of Israelites, and God told Gideon that he didn't need that many people in the army. Gideon trusted God and he sent home 22,000 men. 22,000 men who were going to fight the Midianite army left and went home. Gideon trusted God and sent 22,000 men home that day. 22,000 men who were going to fight the Midianite army left and went home. That left Gideon with 10,000 men to stay and fight. But God asked Gideon to make the army even smaller. Gideon sent more men away and was left with only 300 men to fight. But God had a plan. He always does. He led Gideon and the Israelite army to victory by causing the Midianites to start attacking one another. The Israelites, God's chosen people, had victory all because they trusted and followed God. Who did God use to rescue the Israelites? Gideon. Where did Gideon get his power from? God. How were the Israelites and Gideon able to have victory over the Midianites? With God's power. Gideon got his power, had victory over the Midianites, all because of God. Because God had a plan. God was rewriting Gideon's story of sure defeat into a story of clear victory. 2 Corinthians 12:10 says, "That's why I take pleasure in my weakness and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Even though Gideon thought of himself as weak, God used him in a very powerful way. God's strength works best in our weakness. So don't try to be strong yourself. Trust God and let his power show through your weakness. All right, enjoy the rest of the night at home with your families. Can't wait to see what you guys are up to. Bye.